Hey, yo, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Today is March the 16th, 2025, man. And we're here in the 411 Sports World studio. It's Sunday morning, so you know that means it's me and Hot Tub Tony in the building. We're gonna bring on a special another analyst as well. Um, Hopefully Twan will join us soon too. But we are in the house. We're gonna talk about this particular topic, man. Is it time for HBCUs to cut bait, draw a line in the sand, move on from the celebrity coach hiring practice? And we're going to talk about that. And you may be surprised what we say, but get ready for it. I want to say a special shout out to Surge Sports for the simulcast. Surge Sports, you can find them on YouTube, you can find them on Roku. And when you find them, you're going to find us because we're on there as well. So we appreciate Surge Sports for the simulcast. And the other voice you hear in a few minutes is gonna be Hot Tub Tony, the king of controversy. Hot Tub Tony. Make sure you follow Hot Tub Tony on all social media platforms. Just go to the real Hot Tub Tony. Look him up. Great information out there. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Mr. 411, and also follow us on TikTok at Mr. 411. We almost had 1 million likes, and we really appreciate that as well. All right. So we're gonna run these credits, come back on the other side, and we're gonna talk about the big topic we've been discussing all week. All right, good morning. Good morning, good morning. All right. As you can see in the building is Mr. 411. And with me in the studio, man, two great gentlemen right here. Hot Tub Tony, what's up?
What's happening?
Let everybody know where you can be found, Hot Tub.
You can find me at the one and only Hot Tub Tony, with Hot Tub Tony ATL on Instagram, and the one and only Hot Tub Tony on TikTok.
Absolutely. All right. And Antoine, what's up? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, dokie. You still there?
Yeah, we here.
All right, we hear you now.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
I probably got a lot of noise going, y'all. You know, process of heading to church this morning. So
Basically, this is coming from the result of Eddie George leaving Tennessee State and accepting the coaching job at Bowling Green. And so he's the new head coach at Bowling Green. Before we jump all the way into that, here's a quick update. I did attend the Southwest Athletic Conference championship games yesterday, and it was an exciting atmosphere. And I thought it was a success. That last game of the night, Alabama State, and Antoine, you are familiar with Alabama State. We'll let you reveal that in a second. But Alabama State defeated Jackson State, and Alabama State was the 5 seed. Jackson State was the 3 seed in this tournament, and Alabama State wins the SWAC, and they will move on to the big dance. They defeated Jackson State in a tightly contested game, 56-52. Um, and also in the women's side of things, Southern, who was the 1 seed, they were clearly the best team in the SWAC this year. They Uh, they win the SWAC. They punch their ticket to the big dance. They defeat Alcorn, um, 64-44. I mean, 64-44 in workmanlike fashion. I like the idea of the SWAC moving their tournament to Atlanta. They've been in Houston, I believe. They've also been in, I believe, Birmingham as well. But moving it to Atlanta, I think was a good move because of the area and just because of the kind of atmosphere there. And I think that if they keep it there, gentlemen, it can grow and turn into something huge. If you are familiar with the CIAA tournament, how that became something where everybody just have to go attend in North Carolina. I think this can be something there for the SWAC. But I do think one thing, I do think that they should find a way. They should find a way to bring in a school into the SWAC that is from Atlanta. So this would be a great opportunity for like a Clark Atlanta, to kind of move into a SWAC conference or even a Morehouse or something like that, so that you have a local team that's in that tournament as well. But that's one. Uh, Alabama State winning the SWAC, man. Let everybody know what your familiarity is with Alabama State.
So yeah, that was my brief experience with HBCU. Went there for a little while, and so that's my that's my black school, as you want to say. But yeah, man, it's congratulations to those guys and winning the SWAC tournament, making the NCAA tournament. So you know, just shout out that we're gonna keep it family friendly, but we got a little shout out I mean, a little chant that goes. We ain't gonna do that right now Sunday morning. So, but it's ASU. So,
Um, I heard that chant last night. And man, those
yeah,
fans are something else, man. They are, hey, they support that team, man. Like there was a excellent fan base there, and you could just see, just me being in the stands, you can see the passion between both schools. Mo Williams is the head coach of Jackson State, but his previous coaching job was at Alabama State, and the fans made sure everybody knew that too, Alabama State fans. And so it was an intense game, man. Very, very exciting, gentlemen. Any comments before we go into our main topic?
Yeah, so you brought up a good point, man. Having the SWAC tournament here in Atlanta is a big thing, and you got to think most of your HBCUs, primarily located on the East Coast. We do have a few, in the western southern states and
Yeah,
a couple of them out west, but the bulk of them are over here. And to have it in Atlanta, that's huge because you have the audience for it, I should say. Houston,
yeah,
yes, Houston has a large black population, but it's primarily Houston, and
yeah,
a lot of those teams are not from that side of the country. You may catch the ones out of Louisiana, Mississippi may make that trip, but it's a little easier to get to put seats in butts in seats here in the Atlanta area. With us having four HBCUs in just in the city alone, the state having close to what 7 or 8, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there.
yeah, yeah.
So then HBCU sports would definitely thrive up here. And to move, we talked about this earlier in the week. That Clark Atlanta move into the SWAC, that would be a good move for them. That would definitely give more incentive for everybody in the city to come out, and the ticket prices were outstanding. I had something to do yesterday. I would have went with you to the game, but trust and believe you can't beat them prices.
Absolutely, man. Like, shoot, man, it was. I'm not even gonna reveal it, but it was very affordable, and man, you could stay for all the sessions, so you could just pay that one price and be there for the whole day if you want. Like it started Monday, so you had like 4 games a day, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday was championship days, which was 2 games. So no matter how you slice it, it was not a bad seat in the house, and definitely worth it. And when you watch the action live and up close, you realize that hey. By the way, this is a Division One conference. Basketball and football is Division One. Also in basketball is Division One, and it's directly linked into the big dance. So the winners go to the big dance, and the other teams they may go to an NIT or to another tournament. And by the way, I think there's going to be a HBCU tournament where 12 teams, regardless of level, Division One, Division Two, whatever else, are going to be invited to Charlotte. So that's going to be interesting to watch too.
Hey man, I'm
All
more
right,
invested. I'm a little more invested with him coming here. I know Charlotte had the CIAA, and that's been widely successful out there for them. And I want to see that type of atmosphere be brought to the Atlanta area. I think we're a little more
yeah,
primed for it than Charlotte is, even though they've done it for so long. I think
yeah,
it'll have a better home here.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, gentlemen, let's jump into it. Eddie George is the new head coach at Bowling Green. The new head coach at Bowling Green. Um, just recently did this. Just recently left from Tennessee State. He said it was a tough decision. Um, but he decided to move on to Bowling Green, and so it just kind of just got me to thinking, like he was on another show, and they asked him, did he talk with Coach Prime? And he did. He said that he revealed that he did talk to Coach Prime when he was thinking about making this move, and it just got me to thinking that hey, Coach Prime was in this similar path, HBCU, and then leaves for a PWI job. And I kind of heard Michael Vick say this too. That I believe his long term plan is to end up coaching somewhere else. At some point. But it got me to wondering, guys. Should HBCUs uh do this? Should they hire coaches that for example, they wasn't getting these opportunities to be head coaches at the collegiate level with the PWIs, but the HBCUs bring them in right away and they get to be the head coach. They don't have to be a special teams coach somewhere else and all that stuff, or trainer or whatever you want to call it, the video coordinator and running back coach and all this stuff. They were able to come right in and be head coaches with the background that they have, and I think it's rightfully so. But then it's like they show people that they can bring in recruits from anywhere to smaller schools like this, and then in a couple of years they bounce to the very schools that didn't even want them in the first place. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on that. Antoine, you can kick us off with your thoughts on it, and then we'll spin it over the hot tub.
Okay, well, the first thing, man, where I guess where we want to start at it is exactly who they are and what they are. Um, like you said, these are celebrity coaches, and they get to be celebrity because um, they had a professional career. Michael Vick, Eddie George, Deion, Ed Reed. When they were doing all these guys were professionals. So you have to look at it. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, like these guys that are the other coaches. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They didn't have they went straight into coaching because there was no I'm sorry, there was no pro, there was no next level for them. And if they wanted to stay around football, then coaching was something that they had to do. And when you're 21, 22 years old, you may be single, not married, not supporting a family or anything. It's a lot easier to go into a low paying job, a low, um, being able to take a risk and go in and, not necessarily get paid a lot, but you're gaining experience and you're learning um, how football is set up that way and how to coach and how to prepare yourself on that side of the ball if that's where you want to stay at. So the guys where they've got 8, 9, 10 year NFL careers, you've got these guys that have had, they've been the coach here and then they get moving somewhere else. So that's where, you know, some of the guys that, like I say, some of the guys that are getting these chances, they're starting their coaching career, pretty young. And, it's the same way they get plugged in, just the same way as anybody else does. Dad knows somebody, and families here, Monty Kiffin and all that stuff. So it is uh, that portion of it. Now, the thing, and you kind of made one of my points. See, the coaches that are coming in, these guys are coming in at a head coaching position without having really any coaching experience. And it takes more to be a head coach than the X's and O's of it. It takes planning. You got to know coordinators. You got to know what your strengths are. You got to know what your weaknesses are. You got to know how to run a team. Now, they did gain some of that experience by being professionals and understanding how that works at the professional level. But actually being the person that's making the call and doing all that stuff, it's a big difference because what I'm saying that's hanging on your shoulders. So it's a it's a trade off for both sides. Now, what you want to do if you're these HBCUs, um, take advantage of what it is. Understand that these guys are going to come in. It's going to be a short term situation, kind of like a lot of the other places, the two lanes, the Bowling Greens, um, uh, some of those smaller PWI schools, the Butler, like where these guys go in and they get their coaching experience when they finally get a head coaching job. And, they move on and ultimately that's where they want to go. It's somewhere that's one of the Power Five schools or at least the Power Five conferences. And that's what they're trying to get to. Um, and so the difference, I think, and I know I've been talking for a minute, but I think the difference, and me and 411 were talking about this, is that um, we were kind of looking for coaches, or at least have coaches that wanted to come in and stay. Not necessarily looking for the financial payout that getting to some of these other schools are doing. Dion didn't necessarily need the money. I don't think Mike Vick really just needs the money. You know, um, but it's again, man, it's hard to turn down $15 million a year. You know what I'm saying? To do the same thing I'm making $250,000 a year to do. So um, but that's my take on it. I don't know if there's going to be a way that you can kind of get away. If you get away from it, I mean, that's,
Hot tub, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Let me see. Twan might be right back. Okay, Twan, you back?
yeah, my bad. I hit the wrong goddamn button. But
All right.
like I said, that was the last little bit. But that, like that's like I said, that's the trade off that you're getting when you're dealing with these high profile kind of well known coaches. Um, you take it and whatever that they set up, like I said, when they start bringing in these kids, and you got to win with them, and you just have to have somebody that's you know even if they do leave, like hey, I guess whatever it is, other than I mean I know it's some of it is the celebrity, but it has to be something else to it too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's you know you get some of these guys that can recruit really well, and it's more than just what they're what that name's offering. It's got to be something else to it. I mean I don't know what it is. Maybe we just need to find that part out. But that's
Well,
my take on that.
I think we kind of far away from the days of like a Eddie Robinson at Grambling gonna sit there and be the head coach for 20, 30 years. You're not even seeing that in the PWIs. As far as Eddie George goes with the Tennessee situation, I think his leaving Tennessee was more so on the controversy that's going on with the university, more so than it was with taking the money from Bowling Green and leaving because he seemed pretty satisfied at that Tennessee program. But as we covered on this show, the university itself is going through a lot of turmoil. So I kind of see his point on that, and they cutting salaries and laying off. So before they come to you and want to lay you off or cut your salary, might as well move on to another coaching job while you still have it. With that said, I don't see a problem with celebrity head coaches going to the HBCUs and getting their start. You found a cheat code. You found a way to shortcut the system. You don't have to sit as a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, work your way up through the ranks because those jobs are for you to primarily learn the game to become a head coach. I think with the celebrities, we coming in with a different stance on it. They have the experience. They played, so their unique experience, they could relate more to the players than anybody on the coaching staff because they played it and they played it at a high level. Versus your average head coach may have some college experience, um, and that's it. We give them a lot of hell for leaving after 2 or 3 years, but let us not forget, Nick Saban was known for doing that before he got to Alabama. Nick Saban was never considered a long term coach. He left Miami. He left several teams. He left,
Michigan
and
State,
Michigan State. Yeah, that's another one. So he
He left
wasn't.
from he left a
LSU,
Mac school. He left a Mac school as well.
He
The,
did,
in
two,
the same conference set.
I
and
Uh-huh.
think he
people
was at
forget that.
Tulane.
People forget that's what he was known for that. That's why a lot of schools didn't want to take a chance on Nick Saban because he was known to be 2 3 years and done. That's what his before he got to Alabama. That's what he was known for. So why are we giving hell to our celebrity head coaches, our former players for doing the same exact thing? White head coaches have done this forever. You see the same, I say, 12 head coaches, especially in the SEC, bounce around from school to school to school to school to school every 5 years. And some of them have success, most of them do not, but they're
Hmm.
allowed to do that. And I'm gonna say this: the head coaching position in football, especially, has become white welfare. That's the white guys they have a high IQ for the game, but they weren't good enough to play at the next level. Those coaching positions have historically been set aside for them. They never wanted black head coaches at any level of the game. But when we do come in there, we have success. Mike Tomlin, he's had success. That's why the Steelers kept him for so long. So seeing it on the HBCU side, I don't blame these guys for going in there and getting the opportunity, and I don't blame the HBCUs for giving them the opportunity. You're gonna use their celebrity to bring notoriety to your school, to bring financial resources to your school, because with that star power comes endorsement money, comes celebrity appearances to your games. All of that is a byproduct of just them being there, whether they're successful or not. And more often than not, we see that when they are in those positions, they become successful. Deion being the prime example, pun intended. But
The-
so we got a Michael Vick up in Norfolk State already bringing attention and a lot of notoriety to the school, and it's matriculating into the basketball side. They getting more people to come show up the basketball game. The women's basketball team is showing out. So these are positive things that are happening just from his appearance there, him being on the coaching staff. And why not? Why shouldn't we set our people up for success, even if they leave? You want black people to be successful, right? You want them to have the best opportunity. So if the PWIs are set aside these positions for white head coaches, why not? Why don't we do the same thing? Let them get their coaching chops up on our side, and then let them go on if they want to. Set up for the next one. Because if you let them stay and they sit in those head coaching positions 10, 20, 30 years, number one, they become easily figured out. You know, because those teams have seen those offenses they run, the defenses they run over and over and over and over and over again over the years, and you can only be so innovative. Well, if you constantly cycle them in, number one, you give an opportunity to the next former player to get into head coaching. So
Okay.
that's a positive thing in my eyes. I don't see a downside to this, me personally.
Okay. I
That's
mean that
hey, that's a
that
good point, man. I had never really. I mean, till you said that, I had never thought about it like in that situation where you just gonna create a pipeline and, like you say, just to get the next, possibly get the next uh player. Saying the next former player and give them a way to get into coaching and like you say, you know, that hey, that's a good take on that, man.
Yeah, it is, and again, that's why I was saying people may be surprised with the conversation where this conversation goes, and hopefully it opens up a lot of different avenues and thought processes in this. So, and with that said, Mo Williams, speaking of SWAC and HBCUs, former head coach at Alabama State, current head coach at Jackson State. And he played with LeBron James in Cleveland. He also played in Minnesota. He scored 50 points in a game before. He's actually from Jackson, Mississippi. He played at University of Alabama in college, but he's the head coach of Jackson State, and he's doing wonderful work there. And then you mentioned earlier about the women. So Norfolk State, the school that Michael Vick is at, both teams punched their ticket as well. So to make sure we share that information right there. And the women's program at Norfolk State over the last 2 seasons have quietly, ESPN is not going to talk about it, but we will. This is a mid-major team now. They're at a mid-major level, where they can compete with any team anywhere in the country. Uh, but you just haven't heard about it. But watch out for them because that women's team is a legit squad, and I wouldn't be surprised if their head coach gets poached at some point, to a Power Four team. Um, but that leads me to this, y'all. I hear everything that was said, and it's excellent points, right? And it sounds more like, okay, Power Four is here. This is where everybody should try to strive for, and then you got your mid majors and all the way back to FCS. But why can't we have this where this is set up where the HBCUs can be their own level of Power Four? It won't happen overnight, but when you bring in coaches like a Coach Prime or Eddie George, former coaches that made millions of dollars and so on and so forth, where money, as far as we know, shouldn't be the end all be all with this. And plus, even Coach Prime had laid this out when he went to Jackson State. He was wanting to level the playing field, change the game, get the players, the 4 stars, the 5 stars to uh, go to HBCUs as opposed to going to the Power Fours at that time, five. Why not have these guys stay and continue to build on top of that and build on top of that and keep building recruiting classes? And then you have other schools like Fort Valley State and Albany and all these and Clarks and all these schools, Morehouses, where you can use those schools as the pipeline for the next layer of coaches as well, and just build up all the HBCUs and then become a your own Power Four
Because
and help generate more across the board.
the HBCUs themselves do not want that. And that's the part we have to be honest about. Dion was setting it up for that. That whole thing collapsed, and a lot of people blame Dion, but nobody wants to look at the administration at these institutions. They don't want it's becoming obvious. They want to shine. They want the financial benefits that come with having a celebrity head coach. But when they start talking about building up the program, building up the facilities, building up the school itself, building up the conferences, that's when you see the institutions themselves shying away from that. Oh no, you making too many moves now. I don't want you to do that. We just brought you in here to bring in some celebrities and some endorsements to us. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. We got to start looking at Ed Reed with Prime to build up a stellar program. And before he even got started, before the ink was even on the paperwork, they got him up out of there because he highlighted the problems. And until we, as the fans, as the alumni of these institutions, start demanding better from the administration instead of putting all the onus on these coaches and saying you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You don't know the behind the scenes. I hear a whole lot of the behind the scenes. They've alluded to it. We've interviewed on this show about it. How the problem is basically the administration. The only issue I have with the whole thing is when these head coaches are put in those positions and they elect to leave, they're not naming names. They're not going out and saying, "Hey, man, I couldn't get this program the way I wanted to be because of this particular person." And I get it. You don't want to be known as that coach and going into another coach position. They're looking at you. Well, are you going to do that about us too? And then that cuts your opportunity. So I get that. But we as the fans, we as sports media, we got to start calling this out. We got to demand, hey man, what's going on behind the scenes over here now? Yeah, Coach Prime, he had two good seasons, two great seasons, and now y'all shorting him on the money. He's saying y'all shorting him on the money. Well, who's responsible for that? Let us see the contract. Let's talk about it and see that's the problem that we as black people, and I'm speaking specifically to us. We hold these institutions up because of their historical significance, but we never want to address the problems, and the problems are sitting in that board of administrators, right there, the school president, right there,
The
the
regents,
athletic directors. Go ahead.
the regents,
Yeah, the board of
the,
regents.
the regents, all those guys. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off.
No, you good. I'm glad you. Cause I was searching for the word, but nobody want to address that. Nobody wants to put the blame where the blame needs to go. So that's the part and you can hear it in my voice. That shit burns me up every time I think about it.
And you know what, Tony? This isn't something new. This isn't something new, and I got some. Like you say, it is that is one of the things that has to change. I think you get, like you said, I think you get some of these, some of my folks, and it's kind of a, maybe the same way. It's a lineage thing. You know what I'm saying? You start getting folks whose family have been at these HBCUs forever. In the same way, they bring their kids in, and somebody junior is sitting on the board, or somebody's daughter is coming in, and like you say, they have what they've established as their legacy and the things that the money that they're getting and the way that they want to live. And um, like I say, I've had friends of mine and their kids both went to well, I ain't gonna call the name, but they both went to the parents went to the HBCU and the kids went to the HBCU. And a current, I got a current person that's at that school, and every last one of them has said the same thing. There's always a problem with the administration, and it is always to do with money. It is always about those kids getting their financial aid. It's about them getting their scholarship money that they get in. It's always something, you know, it's always something to do with the money. And and like I said, this young lady that went to school, she was a year behind me, and I'm about to be 50 years old. If God let me see next weekend. So that's been at least 30 years coming out of school. Her kids are just now graduating from college, having some of the same issues. And a friend of mine, his school went to the same school, still having the same issues. And that is something that, like you said, we've had that on this show, and me and 411 have had those talks, man. It is until you start getting people that are in there, those presidents and those guys and all that stuff that want to, what I'm saying, that want to have the vision to build up the SWAC, that want to have the vision to do these things. And it's got to come from, what I'm saying, you know, some of these schools aren't some of them are private institutions, but some of them are state funded schools. You know what I'm saying? And that's where they're kind of happy just being a state funded school and not going out and getting money from the alumni and other sources and making like you say what you want to do. What do you want? Do you want a power five conference out of your school? Yes. And then guess what? You're gonna have somebody fund that. That money's not gonna just come out of whatever your budget is. That's not gonna do it. And like you say, when you start dealing with those people and the ones that are, when you start counting their money, that's when they got a problem. And you are exactly right on that. But I,
Yeah.
like you say, for us to build that, somebody has to have the vision and somebody has to, what I'm saying, these guys have to have the willingness to be, they have to have the willingness to be checked. And some of them
Well,
don't want that.
let's
You
go
know,
back to this. Well, real quick, let's go back to this too. Don't lose your thought, how to. But good points made about like not revealing the sources, and that's where I go back into if we keep it going this way. If we had a Ed Reed at one school and a Deion still there and a Eddie George still there, when these guys speak up, like for example, when the stills running situation with the $2 billion that Tennessee State is owed from the state of Tennessee, by the way, who actually have paid more money to the University of Tennessee, but at the same time has severely underfunded Tennessee State. When you have voices like Eddie George or Deion Sanders or so on and so forth, when they speak, these sponsors start making moves because they don't want to be the one left out, right? Because if you go back to the Washington Redskins, the Redskins have had that name for billions of years. And then with the George Floyd situation going on, all of a sudden it could be changed to the Commanders. But that name been trying to be changed for decades and decades. So when you apply the right amount of pressure, things can change. So I would have wanted if instead of Leon leaving leaving it unclear because he didn't really say in detail what happened. But Jackson State had turned around and said they did pay him contractually. So now we got this back and forth instead of just, hey, let's just get to the crux of it. And with having these celebrity coaches, which brings more attention, now it also brings attention to the shortcomings so the nation can see the true shortcomings and differences. Then change can be made. So I think we got to figure out how to get all of that covered. And then it also ultimately does come down to, do the institutions want to change their level of thought process as far as where they want these institutions to be as far as sports go? But Hato, you had something you want to say there.
yeah, to kind of piggyback on what you just said. That's the problem. You have
Yeah.
institutions that have been here for 100, 150 years. Some of them, the earliest ones, pushing 200 years in existence. You know, what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
that's a lot of leverage right there for you to go to a bank and take out a loan against the school because you know this school has been here for 100 years, 100 plus years. So they're not going anywhere. So you know you're gonna get shortfall. If you're a state school, you know you're gonna get shorted from state funding. You already know that. The thing about it is we have to be able to play past that. And playing past that means kind of going out and seeking other forms of revenue for you. Well, we know most PWIs get their money from the sports
Oh,
program.
you hear me? Don't lose your thought process. You kind of going in and out. Going in and out,
Am I,
and I don't want you to lose your thoughts on what you say because it's very valuable that what you got to say.
okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you well.
All right. So we know that the state is gonna short us on our institutions. You go out and you get other revenue. You utilize your celebrity head
Yes,
coach.
sir.
Start going to have them go out to other sports celebrities that, especially the ones that are active, that have income coming in, and say, hey man, why don't you put up 100,000 Instead of going to the strip club with this money or buying another chain for 100,000, put it towards the institution. A lot of them would do that. Start putting some onus on your alumni to come in and put up money. You say you love this institution, well, put your money where your mouth is, man. Put up $20 a month. That ain't a lot,
You
and
throw that on,
see how
you
much.
throw that away on McDonald's in 2 days.
Exactly, exactly. Harvard is propped up by their alumni, but Harvard also puts out very successful alumni. And we got to be honest about something else. These HBCUs do not put out captains of industry. They are not putting out the tops in their field. They are putting out, yes, do they graduate the most black lawyers? Yes. Do they graduate the most black doctors? Yes. Do they graduate the most black engineers? Yes. But where are they going to work once they graduate? They're not starting their own company. They're going to work for white companies. So they're the employees. And if you live in paycheck, even if that's a high paycheck, hey man, you may not have it to sit back and say I'm gonna kick back every year to my university. But if we get back to what the HBCUs were founded for, was to put out our black business class, our black intelligentsia class, and they're employing black people, then that gives you the ability to go back and start giving back to the institution. It gives you more incentive to give back to the institution. You had a vice presidential candidate that went to a HBCU and nobody asked the question, how much have you given back to Howard University, Kamala Harris? Have you given anything back? Or are you just utilizing this HBCU to give yourself black credentials? And that happens a lot, especially when you talk about politicians that went to HBCUs. So I'd be curious to see. Show us how much you've given back to the institution since you claim to be for black people, Jasmine Crockett, who went to HBCU. How much have you given back to that institution? We got to look at We got to look at the whole thing. We can't just cherry pick and put it all on these celebrity coaches and say you should have done more. The university should do more.
Yeah, I mean, well, you making some real good points, bro. I mean, yeah, and then that's one of the things that we, that's one of those things that we do. We have to have a real, honest, look in the mirror kind of discussion and what are we doing? What are we doing to help ourselves? Black people spend more money than any other,
Hmm.
than any other race. We spend more money than anybody. We save the less, and all of our money leaves out of our neighborhoods and out of our the places that we live. Everybody else's money stays where they are, except us. And until we have those discussions, until we start, you know, I honestly, with you, if you want me to tell you that, we're being honest. I don't think we believe in ourselves. We've been trained to distrust each other so much that it's still you know what I'm saying, it's still rearing its head right now. We still hate to see other brothers and sisters achieve things.
Yeah,
We won't support each other. We won't support each other for nothing. But you know, little Timmy or Chase or Dalton, they start up the same thing. We'll go over there and give them their money, and they won't give us back nothing. You know what I'm saying? But when it's somebody black, and then oh man, well, what is he doing for us? He ain't giving up back now. Shoot, I ain't gonna get on what you ain't saying the same thing to them folk. You're not holding
Yeah.
them to the same standard that you're holding. You know what I'm saying? We don't hold anybody else to the same standard that we hold our own people to. And at least they're gonna have the possibility to do some things, you know what I'm saying? Or like you say, if you get back and ask and hey, let's like you say, some people don't do things just because people simply don't know how to or they don't get asked to. You know what I'm saying? It's just as simple as that. We don't go back and we don't ask. We don't go ask the right people. We don't go,
Yeah.
um, and I gotta go, fellas, but I do want to throw one more thing in there real quick. And it's something that, I don't know if it's controversial or whatever, but we see all these, we can look at other brown people. We have all these Saudi Arabian folks that are, like they're going into golf now. They're going into these other sports where they are,
Hmm.
they've got big money. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, let's go in there and start talking to these jokers. If hey, you know what, you want to get into the college football game, but like you say, everybody that's going to do that has to be on one accord with it. Somebody, they got to be willing to say, hey, you know what, you guys can come in here and hey, look, we've already got the foundation set. Hey, build these
Yep.
schools up. Go build this
Yep.
stuff up. We'll put your names on the buildings. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
Hey,
we'll put all that stuff out there for you.
Antoine,
You know what I'm saying?
Antoine, Antoine, that's a
Mhm.
great point, and that's going to lead to what we'll discuss when you get off. But I'm glad you turned it into that direction because even Hot Tub had mentioned a couple weeks ago that hey, how about Netflix? I mean, they're moving into that live sports world because they have WWE is live every week on Netflix. You know, the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight was live on there. The NFL had a game on Netflix, I think around Christmas time. So they're already showing you that they want to move into that live sports area. Why not have, HBCU sports on Netflix? That's 80 million homes right there off the rip. Netflix, and that's across the world, across the globe. So that could be an avenue. It hasn't been touched yet by any college teams or sports yet. Go that route. And think along those lines, and the game can change across the board. So that's a good point there. And big shout out to the Mr. C on the move. We got to give him his credit here for checking in and commenting. So we definitely appreciate that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, if you don't mind, and get about 100 more people to do that for us. And we appreciate that. But yeah, Twan, I know you said you had to run. Um, we definitely appreciate you jumping in. And we're not too far from the finish line for today. But you take care. Make sure you have a great day, man. And again, Antoine will be back on too because we're gonna have that discussion about the NBA MVP race as well. Uh, Probably Monday or Tuesday. All right, Antoine.
Yeah, we'll be back in hey hot tub. Hey man, we still got this bet going now. You told me. I ain't gonna
Uh
let you
oh.
forget it. You told me Caitlin Clark gonna be a past thought in about 2 or 3 years now.
Where's Hot Tub? Hot Tub.
Yeah, see now you ducking me now.
Hot Tub. Where you at, Hot Tub? He on the screen.
You'll be back though. But hey man, you guys have a
All
good
right.
weekend. I'll talk back to you later, man.
Okay. All right. Let me
Yes,
see if
sir.
I can get Hot Tub back on during the break. All right, we're gonna take a real short break. Come back on the other side. Wrap things up. Be right back.
Imagine a fulfilling career as an orthodontic assistant that is fast, affordable, and convenient, that provides the freedom you desire. Welcome to the School of Orthodontic Assisting. As Georgia's only in-person, hands-on education center for orthodontic assisting with over 40 years combined experience, we understand the constant demand for experienced orthodontic assistants. By not taking the steps to gain the necessary education and hands-on experience, you risk missing out on a life-changing opportunity and the chance to secure a financially stable future.
That's why we created the School of Orthodontic Assisting. Our 8-week comprehensive program is designed to fast-track your career, equipping you with the skills and knowledge needed to become a highly skilled orthodontic assistant.
Once you graduate, you will have the opportunity to enjoy a fulfilling career as an X-ray certified orthodontic assistant. If you're worried about fitting the program into your busy schedule, we've made it easy for you. Once accepted, you simply pick the dates that work best for you, and we'll take care of the rest. Enrollment is limited, so don't miss out on the opportunity to transform your life and career. Act now and secure your spot in our next class.
Visit our website at gasoa.net to learn more about our program and to apply. If you're already on the website, click the Apply Now button to start your enrollment process. It's time to stop searching and start building a successful career in orthodontics. Take control of your future by enrolling in the School of Orthodontic Assisting today and experience the hope and confidence that comes with pursuing your dream career.
All right, Hot Tub, we're back.
We're back.
And
We had some technical difficulties on my end, but Mr. Antoine, I stand on what I said, and give me about another year or so. It'll be proven true.
yeah, all right, man. Hey, I love the way that we got this fight hype set up where he threw his shot out there and you wasn't there, and now you threw your shot back and he wasn't there. We're gonna get y'all both in the ring real soon
Oh
on
yeah.
that Caitlin Clark debate. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Hey, Michael Vick, again, he's back in the news too. He's has Donovan McNabb Jr. in his sights, and he's offered a scholarship for Donovan McNabb Jr. For Norfolk State. You can see there's schools like Iowa State, Minnesota, Syracuse, which is a school that McNabb played at. Then you have, it looks like that might be Southern Miss, and then Norfolk State University. So we'll see where Donovan McNabb Jr. lands if he's gonna ride with Vic. That would be exciting.
I want to throw something on to that. So we got to look at one aspect of that, and that's something that we haven't talked about in relation to the HBCUs, and that's the NIL era and the difficulty in these HBCUs in paying these kids monies to play, like the PWIs, who have deep pockets that can pay the kids to come there to their schools. That's another aspect where your star power in your head coaching position comes into play, because Donovan McNabb Jr. can go anywhere and set him up a nice NIL deal and get money. What is his incentive to come and play for free at a HBCU? Well, I get to play for Michael Vick. I can get that exposure, stay 2 years, get my star power up, and then go to the PWI and get a max NIL deal because I proven myself over here. So if the HBCUs have to become a proving ground for coaches and players, that's a good thing. That only brings exposure to the HBCU, and eventually you will get to a point to where they've maximized that attention and turned it into profit so much so that these kids want to stay. So it got to start somewhere, and that's the part I'm hopeful on, and that's where I see that's just my vision for it. Hopefully, somebody in that institution has that same vision. Now, it may be wishful thinking with the history of some of these institutions, but I know somebody in that administration is gonna come along and say, "Hey, why don't we just start paying them more money so we can keep them here?" And when that happens, that's gonna be a game changer.
Yeah,
But we can't look at. I don't like that stance that we our worst enemy. We don't support each other's stance. I've never been a fan of that because I'm from Atlanta, born and bred, and I see what black people supporting black people can do. It made Atlanta. That's literally what made Atlanta popular. You can come here, make the right connection. You one or two conversations away from your business jumping here in this city. So if we can do it, the rest of the country can do it. If we can do it here on the city level, the HBCUs can do it. But like I say, we're gonna have to start having some uncomfortable conversations with these HBCUs, and we're gonna have to start looking at who's running our institutions. Is it us? And when I say us, I mean Black Americans. Is it us running it? We created the institution, or is it somebody that look like us that don't have no cultural or historic reverence for that institution, and they're basically looking at it as a piggy bank. That's the
Mm,
conversation. That's the conversation that black folks don't like to have. We don't like to think that there are people that look like us that don't have the best intentions for us and our institutions. But it's there. But that's
yeah.
I'm gonna say that conversation because we talked about this before, and I think the time is coming for us to start looking at getting a list of the all the HBCUs, and seeing who's sitting as the presidents and the board of regents, and start looking at some last names,
Well,
start looking at some backgrounds.
well, you already know, so that could be what we're gonna have for next week. So
Mm.
we, there's no time than the present. So we're gonna work on that all week, and we'll come back next week with that. You know what I'm saying, to add on to today's conversation, and hopefully between now and next week as well, we can try to get a recruit, um, or some person or parents involvement on uh recruiting process. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because um I've asked a couple of players that I believe are 4 stars, as to why they didn't, uh, play for an HBCU. And surprisingly to me, the answer has been, hey, we wasn't even recruited. So it goes back to what Mike Vick's doing now and what Deion did, and Eddie George. I think his son played with him at Tennessee State. They actually turned down a Notre Dame offer to play at Tennessee State with his dad, which again lines things up with how Deion's pattern has worked so far. Um, but they just haven't been. The answer was that they just wasn't recruited. So why would we not even try to recruit the best players in the country, despite not having the same budgets of other schools and institutions? I mean, just recruit them anyway. So it's a mentality thing too.
Well,
And another great point about the banks too. I'm gonna just throw this up there for people to look at, because this is a way that we can finance ourselves. Remember, we talked about it with the big three and how the big three has utilized money and loans to build up. Um, that method can be used too, as well. But go ahead, you had something you want to say there.
I'm glad you kind of touched on the banks. I table what I was originally going to say for this. We looking at those amounts. They look like a lot. That looks like a lot of money. But as far as a bank goes, that's not a lot of money. And that's an opportunity. That may be an opportunity for the banks to work as a collective. And I think that's something that definitely needs to happen. That all these black banks that we have that are, relatively small as far as banking goes, need to come in as a collective. If that's the ultimate goal, is to generate money and to grow our HBCU, that's a perfect opportunity to work as a collective, put up your collective money, loan it out to the HBC, to the most successful HBCUs that have the most potential to grow, and invest in them. But that's a good point. Now, kind of going back to what you just said with the recruiting of the players, a lot of that, the reason the HBCUs aren't recruiting a lot of these kids is because they don't have the money to travel. Simple as that.
Hmm. Goes back
You
to
have to,
budgets.
yeah, you have to fly out to meet the families, to meet the kids, talk to them, and instill some confidence in them, sending their children to your institution. But if you don't have a budget for your athletic director and your recruiters to fly around the country to go after these top talents, then guess what? You're not gonna get them. You can send them an offer, and they're gonna put it in the pile with the 60 or so other offers that they done got, the 20 or so other offers they done got, and it gets lost in the shuffle. Our problem across the board, whether it be our institutions, our businesses, or even our personal lives, is always boiled down to economics. Plain and simple. Every
Hmm.
problem in the black community, in the black institutions, can be solved with money. We are pretty much the only the only group of people in America that can say that all our problems can be solved by giving us money, or us getting access to capital. That's a better way to put it. Because they ain't just gonna give us no money. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what it is. Every problem that we
Yeah.
can name. It boils down to money, whether it be somebody stealing the money or misallocating money or just not knowing what to do with the money in general.
Yeah, or
But
not receiving money.
yeah, not receiving money, but you know you're not going to receive what you're supposed to. You know you at the mercy. If you're a state
Yeah,
school, you know you at the mercy of the state. You have to go and instead of sitting back and saying, okay, they ain't giving us nothing. In the case of TSU, for decades, and you didn't say nothing. You waited to sound the alarm to the shortfall got into the billions. And if it wasn't for Eddie George coming out and saying it, we wouldn't have heard about it because he was the first one to raise the alarm on it. That's what I'm saying. And go back to the HBCUs hide a lot
but
from Black America. They hide a lot, and it come down to a time we need it the same way we seeing Trump and his White House doing accounting on the federal government, something that damn near never happened before. Not in my lifetime. We need that. We need to take that example. Do the same thing with our HBCUs. Hey man, we need an accountant. We need to see everything out in public. This is what we need. Every institution across the board, you owe it to Black America. You owe it to us. You are our institution. You don't exist without these black bodies in there. So yes, we can do. We should demand this of every single institution, starting with the biggest one. I want to see every dime, and I
yes,
can
and
probably.
also did we
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no did we mention Oprah Winfrey? Because she's a Tennessee State alum, and
No,
isn't she? You know, where has she been on this? Like with the Tennessee State or with Tennessee State missing $2 billion here. What a voice right there, right? She's talked to some of the basically anybody, everybody in the world, right? You know what I'm saying?
mm,
That's how popular she is. And then is she a billionaire? I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know she's pretty darn wealthy and have a lot of influence on top of that. Like, where's she been on this Tennessee State? I think we talked about Tennessee State more than she has.
she hadn't
You
said
know
a
what I
word
mean?
about it, and that's her alma mater,
Yeah,
like you say. If she's not
yeah,
willing to, you're an alumni. This is your school, and they're not that far in the red. They can make
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Somebody like Oprah coming in and just, even if you don't contribute the whole amount,
Right.
you're attached to
Just speak on it.
organizations that can put their money up collectively.
Yeah,
But
speak on it.
she's not doing it.
Well, but speak on the injustice behind that. Like the University of Tennessee, the volunteers, right? It's
Hmm.
been documented that they've received more land grant money than supposed to receive. But Tennessee State over the last 40 years are $2 billion. Would it be $2 billion in the hole? $2 billion to Tennessee State. That would do wonders for that university. It'd do wonders for all the students that would be educated there. It'll do wonders for the staff, the facilities, the dorms, whatever else is needed, and land. You know what I'm saying? Like this is real issues. You know what I mean? That I know, and we're using sports here as the springboard, but sports is a part of life, and like this is real, and so these are real issues that are going on out there. So when people think about some of these schools, and they be like, "Oh yeah, this isn't a nobody school," but you gotta think if you go back, Tennessee State, it has a rich history, even athletic wise, it has a rich history of some of the greatest athletes ever. They even have the number one draft pick in the NFL that came from Tennessee State, Ed Too Jones, Dallas Cowboys. So if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan out there, look up Ed Too Jones. He was the number one draft pick in the NFL. That's the type of talent that was playing at HBCUs at one time. And but spinning it back, the budgets. We talked about money. So look at Jackson State's budget there, Hot Tub. This is their athletic budget. Look at how much their athletic budget is. Okay. You see some numbers there. You also see some ticket sales, things like that. But remember, Jackson State is in school about 9,000 students. Um, and then now look at University of Georgia's budget. Watch this. Look at that
God
athletic budget, man.
damn.
Yeah. So that's the type of money that the University of Georgia. the red and black Bulldogs are working with, and then you saw the kind of the type of money that Jackson State's working with. Like it's not even apples to oranges. You know what I'm saying? It's the sun to Pluto. You know what I'm saying? Like for those who know how huge the sun is and how small Pluto is in relation to the sun, like this is what we're talking about. Like it's a dramatic difference, and you can just compare a lot of schools. I mean, and this is a Jackson State that's a Division 1 program. Imagine, a Division 2 HBCU, or what I'm saying, or even below that. Like these budgets are crazy. So think about the impacts that can be made with if we utilize a lot of things that we're discussing today. I mean, it's just really it's no comparison when you look at this money, man.
For me, and this is just what I would do in this situation. Like I use Jackson State as an example. When Jackson State had Deion, what they
Yeah,
should have done, one of the things they could have done that would have lessened that disparity right there is to
yeah,
double down on your merchandise.
yeah. Good point.
Double down on it. Your merch brings in a huge bulk of revenue to these colleges. Look at Colorado. Colorado is making they had the number one jerseys sales when Dion went over there to them.
Yeah,
Colorado has never in their history broke the top 100 schools in merchandise sold. Never. But just the fact that Dion there, they doubled down on that ugly ass merchandise. They have the worst colors and mascot theme in college football, in my opinion. But it's selling. Jackson State
yeah,
should be doing that. Norfolk State
yeah,
should be doing that.
yeah,
TSU should have been doing that with Eddie George. I would have tripled down on that. I would have leveraged the whole institution if I had to. Just to put
yeah,
that money up to design new merch. I would have had it in every celebrity would have been wearing my merch. It would have been on every sports show. I'd have sent ESPN jackets for everybody, t-shirts for everybody, hats for everybody, just to
yeah.
market your institution.
Mm-hmm.
Things like
Yeah,
that seem like small steps. Oh, that ain't gonna bring in that much revenue. Shit, me. When you look at the
yeah.
amount that of revenue that comes in from merchandising across the board, that's a huge slice of your budget. You can make your yearly budget as an HBCU just selling merch. You got to think
Yes,
about
sir.
this stuff.
Yeah. And hey, and before we go, hot tub. Before we roll out of here, hot tub. Delaware State, right? They have the wide receiver that played for the Eagles alongside Michael Vick at one time, Deshaun Jackson, and so he's there. He's already recruiting out of California, where he's from, and bringing in players. He also brought in Hall of Fame, who just received news that he's going to the Hall of Fame. Antonio Gates, tight end from the San Diego Chargers back in the day. His son transferred from Michigan State and now is going to play at Delaware State for Deshaun Jackson. So the influence is there. You see what I'm saying? Like that drastics of budgets, you could put Delaware State in there and compare it to the University of Maryland, and it'll be like it'll look like that, like what we just illustrated here with Jack State and UGA. But look, you bring in another. That's a four-star tight end. Brought him in just off the strength of our influence, which goes back what you said about the merchandise. Make money off of the influence that we have. That's one of our greatest strengths right there. And they Delaware State is currently have a state of the art facility being built, or it's in the works of being built, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a game changer, and I think the state of Delaware is helping them out with that. And so, and my understanding is Joe Biden has a lot of ties into Delaware State University as well. So I don't know how they're working all this out, but the state of our facilities, man, I'm gonna post it on the TikTok page for people to see, but it's amazing, hot tub. It's gonna be a game changer, and I just hope Deshaun Jackson stays there long enough so that he'll be the one that will benefit from that state of art facility. Closing remarks before we roll, hot tub.
I think we had a good. It was a real good discussion. I think we touched on some topics that have been historically taboo, and with Black America. Um, like I say, to go back to dovetail back to the title of the show. It's a good thing to have the celebrity stepping stone because it's going to grow into something bigger. That's just my opinion on that.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't see an issue with it. And if it is an issue, feel free to come on next week and tell me I'm wrong.
Hey man, I love that way to bring that out. So we will come back next Sunday, next Sunday morning. So make sure you all hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, and share because sharing is caring. Make sure you follow us on 411 Sports World Network on YouTube. So for Hot Tub, I'm Mr. 411. We thank everybody. We'll catch you next week on the 411 Sports World Show. Have a good one.
Peace.